3,000 years of peace. 3,000 years without a single battle, without a single drop of blood spilled in the name of conquest. For the galaxy, it was paradise. For humanity, it was a test. Because peace, my friends, is not the absence of war. It is the waiting silence before someone dares to break it. And when the aliens finally came to demand war, humanity only laughed. For 3 millennia, the stars lived under the Accords of Unity, a pact signed after the bloodiest war the cosmos had ever seen. Races once sworn enemies now shared knowledge, trade, and culture. Children of every world grew up believing war was nothing but a myth, a story told to remind them of dark days long gone. But humanity never forgot. Earth remembered its scars, the wars of nations, the rise and fall of empires, the endless struggle to survive on a death world where everything tried to kill them. And while other species grew softer with peace, humans grew sharper, training in silence, preparing for the day peace would end. It began with a ripple, a fleet of alien warships, black against the stars, piercing the edge of the Milky Way. They were called the Xytherion Dominion, ancient, patient, cruel. They had hidden in the dark voids of the galaxy for centuries, waiting, watching. And now, after 3,000 years, they sent a message to the Council of Unity. Your peace is a lie. Your unity is weakness. The galaxy belongs to those who can take it by fire and steel, surrender or burn. Gasps spread across the 1,000 worlds. The fragile dream of eternal peace shattered in a single transmission. The Council trembled. Planets panicked. The Xytherion fleets were vast, their weapons unmatched by any seen in millennia. But when the message reached Earth, humanity did not tremble. They did not panic. They laughed. Because humanity knew something the galaxy had forgotten. Peace is not our natural state. Survival is. And if war had returned to the stars, then the galaxy was about to remember why humans were once feared above all. Behind closed doors, the generals of Earth spoke words not heard in thousands of years. Mobilize the fleets. Ready the soldiers. Let the galaxy see what happens when Deathworlders go to war. The laughter of humanity echoed across command halls and war rooms, not from arrogance, but from certainty. Because while the galaxy had lived in peace, humanity had trained in silence, and the storm was about to begin. While the galaxy trembled, the Xytherion Dominion smiled. High above the stars, the flagship of the Xytherion pulsed with cold light. 1,000 warships drifted in formation, each one bristling with weapons older than most civilizations still alive. The Dominion had waited 3,000 years. They had studied every world, every fleet, every weakness. To them, the galaxy was a feast laid bare, soft, fat, unprepared. And when their leader spoke, his voice cut through the void like a blade. They have forgotten war. They have forgotten fear. Now, they will remember both across the galaxy. The Council of Unity gathered in emergency session. For centuries, their chambers had known only debate over trade, culture, and science. Now, the word war echoed again. Representatives shouted, argued, begged for surrender. Some demanded negotiation, others whispered of evacuation. But no one spoke of fighting, except for the humans. In the corner of the chamber, Earth's envoy sat silent, calm. A faint smile tugged at his lips. When asked why humanity did not panic, his words were simple. Because war never left us. It only slept far beneath Earth's surface, away from the eyes of the galaxy. Secrets stirred. Gigantic hangars opened, engines roared awake. Starships long hidden in the shadows came alive with blinding blue light. For centuries, humanity had told the galaxy it had no armies, no fleets. They had signed every treaty, sworn loyalty to peace, but beneath their oceans, within their mountains, behind their moons, humanity had built an arsenal unlike any the stars had ever seen. The laugh of Earth was no arrogance. It was the laugh of a predator, rising after centuries of silence. The galaxy wondered, why do humans laugh at war? The answer was simple, because war was not humanity's nightmare. It was their oldest companion, and soon, the Xytherion Dominion would learn the punchline. They thought humanity unprepared, but the stars had been watching wrong. The Xytherion fleet advanced with unstoppable grace. Planet after planet surrendered without resistance. Cities darkened, defenses crumbled. Entire civilizations knelt before the Dominion, whispering that war was hopeless. And through it all, the Xytherion laughed. "This is no war," they said. "This is cleansing." Back in the halls of the council, panic boiled over. Worlds begged humanity to help, but the other delegates sneered. What can Earth do? They are young, fragile, insignificant compared to the Dominion. The human envoy only smiled. "Insignificant," he said softly. "Then let's remind them what insignificance can do." From the far side of Earth's moon, a silence broke. Gigantic hangar doors slid open, revealing ships cloaked in shadows. Sleek, sharp, glowing with deadly intent. The silent fleet, a force humanity had hidden for centuries, rose without a sound. Engines ignited, bending space itself. The first wave vanished into the void, cloaked, invisible to alien eyes. They weren't heading to defend Earth. No, they were heading straight for the Dominion's supply lines. Far from the front lines in the black quiet of deep space, Dominion fuel convoys drifted under light escort. And then, the void erupted. Human ships appeared like phantoms. Missiles launched. Railguns thundered. And in less than 3 minutes, an entire Dominion supply armada was reduced to drifting fire. The escorts never saw their killers. They died without even a warning shot. When news reached the Dominion, arrogance faltered. For the first time in 3,000 years, their fleets reported confusion. Who attacked us? What weapons were these? How did they strike unseen? And when the council heard the news, silence fell across the chamber. The Xytherion were not invincible, and the humans, smiling quietly in their corner, had drawn first blood. One final transmission was sent across the stars, untraceable, unmistakably human. To the Xytherion Dominion, you wanted war. Very well, welcome to it. They wanted fire. They wanted fear. Instead, they lit the fuse of humanity. The Xytherion Dominion burned with rage. Fuel lines destroyed. Convoys erased. The unthinkable had happened. Someone had bloodied their nose. They unleashed a storm. Entire armadas broke from formation, descending upon human colonies on the edge of the galaxy. Worlds shook as Dominion warships rained fire. "Let them laugh," the Xytherion leader snarled. "We will erase their laughter from existence." But when the Dominion fleets arrived, they did not find panic. They found silence, planets stripped bare, colonies already evacuated. Empty cities stood like ghosts, waiting. And then, the traps ignited. Cities turned into bombs, tearing entire Dominion squadrons apart. The very soil exploded with hidden mines and orbital weapons. The humans had abandoned nothing. They had prepared everything. Across the council, alien delegates stared in disbelief as reports came flooding in. Dominion strike fleet annihilated. Orbital losses catastrophic. Human countermeasures unpredictable. And from Earth's envoy came that same unnerving sound. Laughter, not cruel, not mocking, but cold, certain, the laugh of a predator toying with prey. At last, humanity dropped. They believed the humans would defend. They never imagined the humans would attack. In the cold black of the solar system, silence broke. From beneath Europa's frozen crust, from hidden caverns on Mars, from the dark side of Earth's own moon. Hangars yawned open, releasing the Vanguard Armada. Hundreds. Then thousands of warships rose in silence, their hulls black as void, their lights glowing like stars ripped from heaven itself. Each ship carried weapons the galaxy had outlawed millennia ago. Each ship carried the promise of humanity's laughter. The galaxy had expected fragile fleets, outdated technology. What it saw instead was an arsenal so vast, so carefully hidden, that it dwarfed even the Dominion's might. And when the first engines roared, the void itself seemed to shiver. The Dominion chose Helios Sector as their grand killing ground. Strategists claimed it was perfect. Dozens of human colonies, supply points, and trade routes all within reach. Dominion admirals gathered a fleet large enough to darken suns. Millions of soldiers, hundreds of capital ships. Enough firepower to erase civilizations. This will be their grave, the Dominion declared. But humanity had chosen Helios too, not as a grave, but as the place where the galaxy would remember them. The Dominion arrived first. Their fleet spread wide, blotting out stars. Confident, arrogant. Then, silence cracked. Human ships unfolded from the void, cloaked in bending light. Dozens became hundreds. Hundreds became thousands. The Dominion had expected prey. Instead, predators revealed themselves. The first shots came not from Dominion cannons, but from Earth's hidden weapons. Railguns tearing through flagships like paper. Drone swarms ripping escort squadrons apart. Orbital mines detonating, shredding formations into chaos. The Dominion line shattered before the battle had even begun. On one Dominion cruiser, a soldier clutched the controls, his voice shaking. "They're everywhere. We can't see them. How do we fight shadows?" Another screamed as alarms blared. "Our shields are useless. What are these weapons?" But there were no answers. Only the cold efficiency of humanity's silent strike, for the first time in 3,000 years. Dominion soldiers felt something they had forgotten. Fear. In the Council of Unity, holograms of the battle streamed live. Delegates gasped as entire Dominion fleets were torn apart in hours. One ambassador whispered, "This is not war. This is extermination." Another stammered, "The humans, they were never weak. They were waiting." And in the midst of chaos, Earth's envoy leaned forward, hands clasped, voice calm. "Do you see now? Peace was never weakness. Peace was patience. And patience is over on board human flagships." Soldiers laughed, not out of cruelty, but out of certainty. Every successful strike carried that same sound. It echoed through comms, through ships, through the void itself. The galaxy soon heard it. Aliens whispered of it in fear. The Death Worlders laugh in battle. To humanity, it was not mockery, it was tradition. It was the echo of ancestors who had survived wars far worse. By the battle's end, Helios Sector was unrecognizable. Dominion fleets lay shattered, their wreckage burning as artificial suns across the void. Entire formations destroyed without survivors. The unthinkable had happened. The Dominion, invincible for millennia, had lost, and the galaxy knew it. In the aftermath, one final human transmission echoed across the stars. You demanded war. We offered peace for 3,000 years, but remember this, war is not your gift to us. It is our gift to you. With those words, the galaxy shifted. For the first time in history, the Dominion was not feared. It was humanity. The balance of power had turned, and the galaxy would never forget the sound that carried it, the laughter of humankind. For 3,000 years, they believed themselves untouchable. But arrogance, once shattered, does not fade quietly. The Battle of Helios should have been their triumph. Instead, it became their greatest shame. News of their defeat spread faster than light. Worlds that once bowed in fear now whispered in defiance. Subjects who had trembled for generations began to question. And at the heart of the Dominion, silence fell. Admirals refused to speak. Generals hid behind excuses. The Emperor's throne room grew colder, darker, quieter, till rage erupted. How can primitives undo what empires could not? But there was no answer, only broken pride. The Dominion had never prepared for failure. So they turned to something worse. In secret labs buried within dying stars, they unearthed weapons sealed away for millennia. World-ending machines, forbidden technologies. The kind even the Dominion once swore never to use. If brute force could not silence humanity, then terror would. The galaxy watched in horror. Neutral worlds, long silent, began to take sides. Some whispered, if humans can wound the Dominion, perhaps they can save us. Others feared, if this war spreads, no star will survive. The Council of Unity fractured. Half demanded peace, begging Earth to stop before all was lost. The other half demanded alliance, urging fleets to join humanity. And humanity said nothing. Their silence was heavier than threats. On Earth, the laughter grew quieter, not from fear, but from focus. For every colony lost, they built 2 more. For every fleet destroyed, they raised 10. And deep within oceans, moons, and hidden stations of Sol, they prepared their greatest weapon yet. Not a cannon, not a fleet, but an idea. Humanity was no longer fighting for survival. They were fighting for dominance. When the Dominion returned, it was with weapons no galaxy had ever seen. Stars themselves became their cannons. Black holes harnessed as traps. Worlds shattered to ash, left as warnings. Their message was clear. If we cannot rule, then none shall survive. Entire civilizations burned in days. Refugees scattered, and for the first time, even humanity hesitated. Not from fear, but from fury. But even as their weapons burned brighter, cracks spread deeper. Subjects no longer obeyed, armies deserted. Worlds once loyal now sabotaged supply lines, feeding secrets to humanity. The Dominion's greatest enemy was no longer humanity alone, it was themselves. For arrogance once broken becomes rot, and rot spreads faster than fire. In desperation, the Emperor gave one final order. Erase Earth. Burn their cradle. Let nothing remain. The largest armada in Dominion history assembled. Thousands of ships, countless weapons. All aimed at one blue world, fragile and small, yet more dangerous than any empire had ever faced. The galaxy held its breath. Would Earth burn? Or would the Dominion finally learn the cost of arrogance? And so, with stars trembling and galaxies watching, the Dominion marched toward Earth, not knowing that in seeking to destroy humanity's beginning, they were racing toward their own end. They thought Earth was fragile. They forgot it was forged in fire. The sky above Earth darkened not from clouds but from shadows. Dominion warships blotting out the stars. 10,000 ships, dreadnoughts larger than continents, engines glowing like captured suns. The people of Earth stood still, watching their night sky vanish. For the Dominion, it was a moment of triumph. For humanity, it was a promise kept. On every continent, silence reigned. Cities dimmed their lights. Families gathered in shelters carved deep beneath mountains and oceans. Children asked questions their parents could not answer. Will the sky come back? Will we still be here tomorrow? And across every channel, one voice echoed, a single message from Earth's high command. Hold fast, trust the silence. The Dominion wasted no time. Orbital bombardment began with a storm of plasma fire. Oceans boiled, mountains cracked, atmosphere screamed. But as the fires fell, something strange happened. The bombardment vanished into the void. Hidden above Earth, layers of defense satellites unfolded like metallic petals. Plasma storms hid invisible shields bending into space itself. To the Dominion, it looked as if Earth simply refused to burn. Their triumph turned to unease. Before the Dominion could regroup, Earth answered. From the oceans, colossal submarines breached, firing spears of light that shredded cruisers in orbit. From the moon's hidden stations awakened, releasing swarms of AI drones, tiny, fast, impossible to track. From Mars, railguns lit up, their shots ripping through dreadnought armor as if it were glass. And from Earth itself, the laughter rose again, not of madness but of certainty. The humans were not defending, they were hunting. The battle above Earth became chaos. Dominion ships collided, trying to evade the invisible traps. Carriers exploded in chain reactions that lit the void like newborn stars. And every time the Dominion thought they had broken through, another hidden layer of Earth's defenses revealed itself. Orbital rings armed with thousands of cannons, cloaked fleets rising from the asteroid belt, quantum mines detonating in silence, tearing apart entire squadrons. Earth was not a world, it was a fortress. Inside Dominion command ships, panic set in. They were primitives. They were supposed to kneel. Why won't they break? But the truth was undeniable. For 3,000 years, humanity had built not monuments of peace, but weapons of memory. Every trap, every ship, every plan was drawn from the scars of ancient wars. The Dominion realized too late, humanity had never forgotten war. As the Dominion faltered, humanity launched the final phase. A single order echoed through Earth's command networks. Release the Vanguard. From the dark side of the moon, the Vanguard Armada emerged. Not thousands of ships, but hundreds, each one larger, faster, deadlier than the Dominion's finest. Sleek, silent, with hulls that bent light itself. The moment they fired, the galaxy changed. One by one, Dominion flagships disintegrated under precise, merciless fire. The hunters had become prey. Deep within the Dominion's throne world, the Emperor watched the battle unfold. Every report brought more rage, more disbelief. "Impossible," he whispered. "No world can stand against the Dominion." But as Earth's fleets closed in, one truth became clear. It wasn't a world standing against them, it was a species. And that species was laughing. The Dominion Armada broke, ships fled, commanders abandoned their posts. Some even surrendered mid-battle, begging for mercy. But humanity gave no quarter. For every city scarred, for every child forced into shelters, for every life lost, the Dominion paid tenfold. The sky burned with wreckage, and when the battle ended, the stars returned, not as lights of hope, but as witnesses to Dominion's greatest defeat. As wreckage drifted, as survivors whispered, as silence fell, the laughter rose once more. From soldiers on the front lines, from pilots who had survived impossible odds, from families hidden deep beneath the earth who emerged to see the sky still standing, the galaxy heard it. Every world, every empire, every soldier. Humanity's laughter was no longer mockery. It was a warning. It said, "You demanded war. Now you live in it, and Earth will never fall." And so the Dominion's greatest armada was shattered above a single blue world. The galaxy trembled, the hunters bled, and humanity, once dismissed as primitives, stood taller than ever before. But in the silence after battle, a darker question remained. If this was only the beginning, what would humanity do next? They came to Earth as hunters, but now humanity was done hiding. The Predator had awakened. The wreckage of the Dominion Armada drifted above Earth like a broken crown. Fires still smoldered in the sky. Oceans still steamed from bombardment, yet the world endured. And from the ashes, a single truth echoed across human channels. We survived. Now we strike. The time for defense was over. The time for the hunt had begun. From the shipyards of Mars, the hidden fleets rose. From the deep oceans of Europa, Leviathan submarines emerged, refitted into warships that could sail the stars. From the asteroid belt, entire fortresses detached from rock and ignited engines, becoming mobile strongholds. The Vanguard Armada was no longer bound to Earth. It spread like wildfire into the void. Each fleet carried the same order. Do not wait for them. Do not defend. Hunt. The first strike came at Orion's edge, a Dominion fortress world armed with planetary shields, fleets, and weapons older than most civilizations. The Dominion believed it impenetrable. They believed it untouchable. But humans did not attack from above. They emerged from beneath. Drones seeded into the planet's crust detonated from within, shattering shield generators like glass. Before the Dominion even realized, the sky above Orion burned red. And when the smoke cleared, the fortress world was gone. A ruin left as a message. We are coming. Across the galaxy, the tide turned. Worlds once enslaved by the Dominion revolted, emboldened by human strikes. Fleets deserted, whole species declared rebellion. But what terrified the galaxy most was not the victories. It was the silence. Humans did not broadcast threats, they did not gloat, they only laughed. And then they struck again. One by one, Dominion strongholds fell, not in years, not in months, but in days. The Dominion had always been the hunter. They understood brute force. They understood intimidation. But humanity fought differently. They attacked supply chains, not armies. They cut communication lines, leaving fleets stranded in silence. They poisoned data streams, turning Dominion fleets against each other. Every move was precise, every strike calculated. It wasn't war. It was slaughter. And the galaxy began to whisper a new name for humanity: the Silent Predators. In the great halls of the Galactic Council, fear reached its peak. If humans can do this to the Dominion, what will they do to us? They are liberators, another voice shouted. No, whispered another. They are conquerors. Some species begged to ally with Earth, others plotted to contain them. But all agreed on one thing: the balance of power was gone. The Dominion was falling, and humanity was rising. On the Dominion throne world, the Emperor watched planet after planet burn. Reports grew worse with every hour. Entire sectors lost. Commanders defecting. Worlds surrendering before a single shot was fired. For the first time in 3,000 years, the Emperor felt fear, and fear twisted into desperation. "If they want war," he roared, "then let them choke on it. We will burn half the galaxy before we kneel." The Dominion prepared their final gamble, a weapon so catastrophic it would either crush humanity or consume everything. Before that weapon could rise, Earth finally broke its silence. Across every channel, in every language, a single message rang out. 3,000 years you ruled with fear. 3,000 years you called yourselves hunters. Now you will learn what it means to be prey. And then, the laughter followed. A sound that chilled the Dominion to their core and lit fire in every enslaved heart across the galaxy. Human fleets surged into Dominion space. Core worlds trembled, armadas collapsed. The empire that had once stretched across the stars began to crumble, not with honor, not with glory, but with terror. For in every shadow, in every battle, in every silence, humanity hunted them. The predator had risen, and the galaxy would never be the same. And so, the hunters became the hunted. The Dominion, once eternal, now bled from 1,000 wounds. But as humanity pressed deeper into their empire, a darker storm brewed on the horizon. For the Dominion's final weapon was stirring, and even predators must beware. When gods awaken, they were losing everything: worlds, fleet's pride. And so the Dominion reached for the one thing they swore never to unleash, the weapon that could end not just humanity on Num, but the galaxy itself. Deep within the core of the Dominion throne world, beneath layers of stone and steel, lay a chamber sealed for millennia. It was not a machine. It was not alive. It was something in between. A star-forged weapon older than the Dominion itself. A relic from the wars of forgotten gods. Its name had been erased from records, its existence denied. But desperation breaks promises, and the Emperor ordered it awakened. The weapon was no cannon. It was no fleet. It was a seed of uncreation. A dark star, caged in metal, pulsing with energy that could unravel space itself. If unleashed, it would not destroy cities. It would erase worlds, rip their atoms into nothing, unmake history itself. The Dominion named it Erebus. To them it was salvation. To the galaxy, it was the end. The first test came at the world of Xythar, a rebellious colony that had risen against Dominion control. In a single flash of silence, the world was gone. Not burned, not broken, gone. Where oceans and mountains had been, only empty void remained. The message spread faster than fear. The Dominion has awakened Erebus. The galaxy trembled. For the first time, even humanity's laughter grew quiet. On Earth, leaders faced the unthinkable. Erebus was not a weapon that could be fought in open battle. It was not something that could be outgunned. The only way to stop it was to destroy it at its source. Thus began Operation Silence, a mission not of fleets but of shadows. Specialists, spies, AIs, and ships built for one purpose: to dive into the heart of the Dominion and end Erebus before it could end everything. The Dominion deployed Erebus aboard its largest dreadnought, a ship so vast it carried entire cities within. It moved from world to world, erasing rebellions with a flicker of its core. Every time it fired, another star system fell silent. But the humans were watching, always watching. Silent fleets followed in its shadow, waiting for the right moment. The galaxy held its breath. When the dreadnought reached the Veil Nebula, it finally slowed. The weapon required time to recharge. That was the moment. From the void, cloaked human warships emerged, striking like wolves. They tore into escorts, shredded defenses, and swarmed the dreadnought. But Erebus awakened. The dark star pulsed, and entire fleets vanished into nothingness. Even in victory, humanity bled. Even in triumph, the laughter faltered. For the first time since the war began, humanity teetered on the edge of defeat. Commanders questioned if Erebus could ever be destroyed. Soldiers wondered if their sacrifice mattered. And across the galaxy, fear spread once more. The Dominion, wounded and dying, had found a blade sharp enough to cut even the predators. The Emperor declared with venom in his voice, "The humans will laugh no longer. They will weep in silence as the galaxy ends." And so the war reached its darkest hour. Erebus burned through the stars, erasing all in its path. And humanity faced a truth even they had not prepared for. Predators may rise, but even predators can fall before the end of all things. For 3,000 years, the Dominion ruled without question. Worlds bent the knee, civilizations broke under their shadow. And then, they met humanity. What began as arrogance ended in fire. Their fleets, once endless, were torn apart by a species they thought was still primitive. Their mighty warlords found themselves outmatched, not by numbers, but by will. In the last battle, as the Dominion's capital world burned, their leaders demanded mercy. They expected vengeance, a mirror of their cruelty. But humanity did not enslave. Humanity did not destroy. Instead, the humans offered them a choice, the same choice the Dominion once offered Earth long ago: submission or survival through peace. The galaxy watched in silence. The once feared masters of the stars now knelt before the very species they had mocked. The age of the Dominion was over, and in its place, a new legend began, not of conquest, not of chains, but of laughter. The laughter of a people who had faced extinction, who had been underestimated, and who proved once again that Deathworlders do not bow. The end of Dominion was not just their fall. It was the beginning of humanity's era. An era where the galaxy would never again mistake kindness for weakness, nor peace for fear. And so across the stars, the sound remained, the echo of humanity's laughter. In the centuries that followed, the Dominion became nothing more than a name in forgotten ruins. Their banners turned to dust, their monuments crumbled into silence. But the story of humanity endured. Travelers crossing the stars spoke of it in hushed voices. The day an empire demanded war, and humanity only laughed. Worlds far beyond Earth repeated the tale, children whispering it like myth, rulers remembering it like warning. The laughter was not mockery, it was defiance, it was survival, it was a promise that no matter the odds, no matter the power of those who rise against them, humanity will stand. And so, across galaxies, in halls of power and in shadows of rebellion, when tyrants rise and empires threaten, there is always someone who remembers the sound of Deathworlders who refuse to bow, the sound of laughter.